Well, hello into people, I hope you're doing well. Now today's video is all about autism masking, but asking the question, should autistic people take off the mask? I feel like it's a good question to ask those on the autism spectrum like myself. So, if you have any thoughts on the matter, definitely leave them down below in the comments. It would be great to hear from you. But firstly, what is autistic masking for those who don't know? Masking, also known as camouflaging, it has other names as well, but masking and camouflaging are the two reoccurring words in regards to this topic. It's something that an autistic person does to mask their autism, mask their traits. But the other part to masking / camouflaging is that we learn or pick up skills, pick up traits and attributes from others, but also practicing honing in on those skills, attributes, character traits, and then performing those to ultimately appear more neurotypical. And if you don't know what neurotypical means, it means not displaying or characterized by autistic and or other neurologically atypical patterns of thought or behavior. And some of the behaviors that come with masking are things like hiding behaviors, so hiding autistic traits, things like that, like I previously mentioned. But there's also mimicking other people's social behaviors. So you may look at a person at a party, for example, see how they're acting, see how they're behaving, and then mimic that so you fit into the social mold. Masking can also include pre-preparation, so preparing things like phrases, jokes, topics for conversations, forcing facial expressions, making eye contact during conversations, and mimicking gestures such as a handshake, for example. And all of these parts to do with masking are an inherent part of our kind of survival instinct. So, we put on a mask and appear a certain way to certain people because that is what society expects from us, or the people that we are with. They expect a certain level of conversation, being friendly, handshaking everyone under the sun. It is a thing that autistic people do. And this is despite autistic people, some of us, may have real difficulties with social communication or, touching people, so the handshake thing, or having issues with body language and understanding social situations and things. When you look at other autistic female advocates, they talk about masking very, very heavily because it is such an issue. It's a thing that people do in the autistic community. It is heavily associated with females and people talk about masking from the female point of view, but it's not gender specific. Now we are at the part of the video where we answer the question, should autistic people take off the mask? And I'm going to say now, quite honestly, if the world was more understanding and people were more understanding, I would definitely say yes. I think we as autistics should be able to be ourselves around people and be able to express that. But I can also understand the reasons why people decide not to unmask or just can't. It does come down to who you are as a person, what your situation is, and even what country you live in, because there are certain places in the world where autism or just disability in general is still seen as a bad thing, seen as a negative thing, I should say. So my question, should autistic people unmask? It's really a personal choice. It's also a personal decision and whether you can actually do it, because firstly, depending on who you are and what your situation is, it may not be safe for you to do so. It may not be safe for you to be yourself or be open about your autism. But also the other reason why someone may not be able to unmask could be because they've built up a mask over many years, many decades, and it's harder for them to let the mask go, you know, even a little bit, because, you know, it's just something that they have kind of put on over these many years and decades that they just don't know how to take it off. And obviously I'm not someone with that amount of experience or years on me, so it's hard for me to even comment on it, but I can only imagine it being very difficult because you've done things a certain way for so long that you ultimately, I think you kind of forget, or you kind of lose touch with, you know, the things that make you you, and it is effectively like acting, only it's real life and it's 24/7. But ultimately this video is titled, Should Autistic People Take Off the Mask? And in my heart, I would honestly say yes. Now, I'm not saying you need to right this second, but I just feel that masking, even though it can be helpful, or it's something that you just have to do to survive in society, I think that's the issue with society, just people are not accepting. And I think for me personally, that's why I do these videos, to ultimately, you know, one video at a time, you know, just say to people, it's not bad to be autistic, it's not a bad thing, it's something that, you know, ultimately, you know, makes me fulfilled in life, you know, to be my autistic self, to, you know, share my autistic identity and, you know, everything like that. And yes, I am privileged, you know, to have a platform and talk about it, but I don't think that privilege should just be for those lucky few. I just think we should be able to go out, talk about autism in a positive way, just be our true autistic selves without feeling judged. And the reason why I'm saying yes to we should take off the mask is ultimately down to mental health, because if you're effectively masking all of the time, you know, with your work colleagues, with your friends, your family and things, just to fit into what they expect, that is ultimately, from a cognitive capacity point of view, that's a draining experience. It leads to burnout because you've put on this mask for so long that it's just draining and exhausting, and it leads to depression, anxiety, just all of these things that we all harper on about, you know, good mental health, all of that stuff. Masking is a exhausting mental exercise, a cognitive exercise, which I ultimately feel we as autistic people shouldn't have to do. We should be able to go out there, be ourselves, be our true autistic selves, show off our attributes, just, you know, show off, you know, what is good about autism, autistic people, all of that stuff. That's ultimately how I feel. But how do you feel? You know, how would you answer this question? Do you think autistic people should take off the mask? And also let me know if you want to see a video on how to unmask, because I would be really happy to do a video like that if it's something that people want to see. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a big thumbs up for me down below. It is really appreciated. But for now, stay you, stay indie, and I'll see you next time.